Hi guys, I'm making scrambled eggs and I need whole milk, free range eggs, those are just the medium eggs, and I need black pepper, salt, butter, and I have 3 utensils here. The spoon is just to count the amount of milk I need, and the fork is what we will be using to cook the scrambled eggs, and the spatula is to beat it. Okay, so I should have shown you as well my teaspoon. That's the spoon I'd usually use to measure the amount of butter I need. But because I make this all the time, I could also tell, and I just did use the larger spoon instead. Anyway, this is the amount of butter I have. So for 2 eggs, I'd use 1 teaspoon of butter. And I'm making 4 eggs, so I have 2 of these. And the next thing I'll be doing is I'll be putting in the milk. By the way, when I make scrambled eggs, I don't add black pepper or salt to the eggs that I'm cooking. I add them later. And again, I would need 4 tablespoons of milk. So 4 teaspoons of butter and 4 tablespoons of milk. That'll just equal to each egg you're making. So if your eggs are small, maybe you can sort of reduce rather than fill it right up. Perhaps you could put it up this much. And I always just go for the 4 largest, but it doesn't matter. This is medium eggs, so now I just want to sort of break this. So I'm using spreadable butter, which is always much better. So you just try and break this. In fact, I should have done some breaking before adding the milk, but it's okay. Okay, so now we add the eggs. If you don't have a spatula, the best thing to use to beat your eggs would be a large spoon. You don't want to overbeat eggs at all, whatever sort of egg you're making. And I wanted to explain why I didn't do something. I've forgotten. I haven't had breakfast, so you can excuse me. Okay, so you want to beat it until you don't see any lining or any yolk. And this is all the butter that's come into bits. And I think that's what I wanted to explain earlier. You'd probably think, why don't I just melt the butter in the pan? I find it always tastes a bit different. Even it tastes a bit like omelette. Just in my head, I prefer to do it this way, and I think it turns out creamier than the other way. That's just what I find, and my kids actually could always tell the difference, because one time I just wanted to see if they'd also notice the difference, and they did. They asked me if I put something else in the egg rather than telling me in an adult way. So okay, now we just go to the frying pan. So I've just put the cooker on, and this is my old frying pan. I have a new one, but I still stick with this one. That's because, as I've said, I use a fork to make the scrambled eggs. So you just want to pour all of that in. You can use the spatula to get these bits out. I'll probably need to get the butter out because I've measured it. Now, this is how scrambled eggs work. So my highest heat level is 6. I need to turn it down to 2. You need to do this at the lowest heat possible. And all you'll be doing from here on is to basically scrape off the egg. And I start pretty early, even before anything happens. I just keep doing this. And that's the whole process of curdling it to get the scrambled eggs. Okay, I didn't do what I advised you to do. I can see some yolky bits, but it's okay. So yeah, just do that. Cooking it on low heat really makes it so soft. Makes a lot of difference. I'd never cook eggs on high heat. And scrambled eggs will take longer to cook than omelette, just because of the way it is. Right, so I'll come back and show you when we're halfway through. So at 4 minutes you can see obviously the butter is melted, and just like I say, I don't move away from the frying pan at all. I just sit here and keep doing this. I guess some people would have a technique of leaving it there, but for me to get the softness that I want and also to have those lovely curdles, I think you must just stay here and be patient. And you want to keep moving constantly. Make sure everywhere is being stirred. So I just keep going up and down, up and down. Also, can I just say, I don't do this. I actually do this. So doing this will give you much larger curdles. I do this. So it's constantly breaking it up again as well. So it's at 9 minutes. I'd say another 4 or 5 minutes. Depends as well just how creamy you want it. All I would say is don't let it fry. You know, people like risks. Some people probably would have it like this. I don't like overcooked eggs anyway, so I have mine really soft, but you know, you can go more. But scrambled eggs should never have any browning whatsoever. Should look as creamy as possible. So I'm done. I'm switching it off. Perfect. It's actually slightly overcooked because if you can see this white bit, that shouldn't really happen. Well, not the one I like, so, but it's fine, lovely. So it's all done now, and we eat our scrambled eggs with plain toast, and it's perfect with brown toast. And my kids, actually, I shouldn't say we, the kids eat scrambled eggs with croissants, always. And the 4 eggs should serve 2, although I've been a bit more generous with this one, just for presentation purposes. And you can just add black pepper. And salt, although we did use salted butter, but it's still nice with a sprinkling of salt. McDonald's got me used to that. Okay, thank you for watching. Have a good week. Bye. Hello again. So now I want to show you how to make a more adult version of the scrambled eggs. At home, for us, the scrambled eggs you would have seen before or after, I'm not sure how I'll do the video. That's the one we make mostly. Adults love it just as much as the children. But if I had guests, I probably would make this one because it's just more appealing for adults. So we still do have the 2 eggs left from the previous one. This 1 egg is just from the rack in the fridge, and I have a whole one over there, but I'll just make 4 eggs and everything is going to be the same. Yeah, so I'm just now going to scoop out 4 teaspoons of the butter. That's for the 4 eggs, and then we'll use 4 tablespoons of milk. And I'll do the butter first and just sort of try and mix it through. So this is what I sort of do. I just do that and 4 times. Now I'm just going to sort of mix. So I've sort of borrowed 1 egg from there and the other one from the rack, and now I'll put the eggs in. And now you just want to mix that through. You can use the large spoon or the spatula. So you don't see the fork here. That's because, as I've said, this is the sort of an adult one, and I'll be using the spatula. Don't you just feel sorry for the spatula to make the eggs. So I'll mix this. And again, I won't be seasoning this. I mean, you can season it if you want to. I just like also tasting that plain scrambled eggs at the, as well as picking out a seasoned one if I want to. That's done. I just want to go over to the cooker. So you want to put this again on the same heat level, which is medium low. So my highest is 6 and this is on 2 again, and I'm just going to scrape that to the bottom, off the bottom. So with this one again, it's the same, well, beginning. And why I don't put it in the hot pan is because the butter will straight away start to sizzle and I will get that taste that I was mentioning that makes me feel like I'm eating omelette. So I can mix through, but I'll show you, because rather than the fork with what I was telling you like this, instead of this, here now I use the spatula, and I don't do this with the fork. I guess because I have the habit, I perhaps will just end up doing this, but I'm sure you can use a fork and just scrape off. So yeah, it's more of scraping in large areas. But I do like to let this melt, and as soon as it's all melted, I want to mix it all through, just to make sure everything is well incorporated, and then I will begin to do that. But before you do that, you must let it sit. But be careful, don't let it sit too long, otherwise it won't be soft. So as I wait, I am mixing it, as I've said, as I wait for it to melt, and you can see it's beginning to all melt. So it's all melted now, and I'm happy to start leaving it to stand so I can begin the scraping off. So I've just begun scraping it off. And that's what you want to carry on doing. And I'll try to avoid any one that I've scraped off so I don't break it. It can be a bit tricky to gauge when you should scrape it off, because as I've said, you don't want it to sit too long. It'd be better if you didn't even hear that noise, really. And when you've scraped some, don't just leave them to stand there, sort of coat them. So when you scrape, sort of like you're, building up something. Ideally, you shouldn't have any bits by itself, as I've said. You just keep on building it. Take the bottom over and put any ones that I haven't cooked on top of it as well. And it's done, really. It's at 11 minutes. So I'm just going to turn this over, give it like 3 seconds, and I'm putting it on the serving plate. Can you hear that noise? That lets you know that this is completely done. But you can see it's not brown as well. I turned it over just for you to see. So I've done it again. I've forgotten the toast. That's what happened with the children's one. That's why it was slightly overcooked. So I'm just standing here holding it above because I have an electric cooker and I don't want it to cook anymore. So it's done. And it's so fluffy and nice. Some salt. I don't know what you eat your scrambled eggs with, but I don't add any condiments to it. I think it's perfect by itself. I don't butter my toast as well, as I've said earlier. Thank you for watching and have a good week. Again, bye.